Here is part 2 of the animals that hate each other so much that they want to beat each other up without mercy. Orca versus shark. Sharks are the demons of the oceans popularized by the movies of our childhood. Now, of course, tiger sharks, great white sharks, and bull sharks are definitely killing machines that can tear us all apart like no other. But they have the problem of falling into the same waters as the biggest threat around, the killer whales. With more than 9,000 pounds on a 26-foot-long buff body and an insane swimming speed of 35 miles per hour, we may say that monkeys and primates are the closest cousins of humans. But I would like to put into your tiny brain that orcas, with their psychopathic and bloodthirsty behavior, have no remorse, violently bullying any other animal of the ocean to the point of considering them as nothing but victims that they just want to torture to death. They don't even eat them afterwards. So my take on that is, the killer whale is perhaps the human best friend we can all be proud of. Okay, I might be exaggerating a bit, but when the orcas meet the sharks, they probably think, but how come the humans think that they are the bad guys? I'll show them which is the OG in this story. So there goes a ruthless war. Well, I mean, it's not an actual war, because in a war there are casualties on both sides, while here it's more of a butchery that only goes one way, since the orcas, even if they are alone, will beat the crap out of any shark, and when I say beat up, I mean they will even rip their souls out of them. On top of all those homicides going on, orcas have specific taste in meat, and they love to eat the liver of sharks, so after sending the shark to the heaven's gates, they turn over its body, take out its liver, because for them it is a supreme delicacy. As for the rest of the shark's corpse, they don't like the taste of it, so they don't give a f about it and let it sink to the depths of the ocean. Owl versus crow. For thousands of years, owls and crows have hated each other so much that it's been imprinted into their DNA. Without ever having seen an owl, a baby crow instantly knows it has to be aggressive and merciless with any owl it sees. Owls are nocturnal animals because they love to come out of the darkness to slap and eat small rodents, but also small birds, which thought they were having a good night before being woken up by the angel of death itself. Crows, as we know, are extremely intelligent birds that have such a great memory that if a human pisses them off, they'll remember it for life. And if they see your ugly face again, they'll tear your skull apart. And that's what happens between the two birds. The crows will harass and peck an owl if they see one by the force of the group, until death takes out the owl from the land of the living. Let me repeat myself. An owl caught in broad daylight by a group of crows will be brutalized and sometimes killed. But don't you worry about the owl, which will have the last laugh, because all that is fine for crows when they are in a group. But when there is one alone, it may as well start to pray to the crow god, because sometimes we find corpses of crows around the same area, and we know damn well that the great owl is guilty because the crow corpse is in perfect condition, except that their head has been cracked open and their brain eaten, which is the signature of the owl, similar to serial killers. Elephant versus buffalo. The elephant is one of the toughest, if not the toughest being in the entire savannah, and only complete fools would dare to challenge one 1v1. But we all know fools exist, so among the rare animals that even have a chance not to be immediately crushed by the 13,000 pounds of this mastodon is the terrifying and powerful African buffalo, nicknamed the Black Death, which is far from being a weakling, since it kills more than 200 people per year by the pure rage of its mind and the devastating power of its body that can reach nearly 2,000 pounds and more than 10 feet in length, capable of pulling the body of a powerful Nile crocodile from water to land as if the croc was nothing but a little bit. Not to mention that few of them walk alone, as they love the camaraderie that allows them to slap lions and other stupid predators they're happy to send to Jesus. Anyhow, when angry elephants meet equally angry buffaloes, don't think that it's always the elephant which will win, because sure, the elephant sometimes humiliates poor buffaloes, which shouldn't have gotten up this morning, but the opposite also exists when the buffalo doesn't want to be bothered, as it'll try to be calm for 2 minutes, but afterwards, things will reach the point of no return in its head, and it won't hesitate to hit this big fella in the ass with its devastating horns. Ants versus termites. But if you want a real war, you'll have to look at ground level, because that's where thousands upon thousands of individuals are beating up thousands upon thousands of other individuals. When we talk about a world war fight, we can go and look for the ants versus termites, because it's worthy of even Napoleon, and even of all the medieval wars that you can imagine. Just look at these armies full of little psychopaths which have neither thoughts nor emotions. They only march to step on the other, to crush their heads, to eviscerate them, to strangle them, and drink up their pain and suffering. Do you get it yet? For those which have played Age of Empires or Total War games, you know what I mean when your soldiers throw themselves against the enemies, kicking, ramming, or throwing acid in the other eyes. Everything is allowed because only violence reigns. How can people think that nature is peace, calmness, and love? Like, no way! Mother Nature is about smashing the other guy, surviving being killed yourself, busting the head of entitled dumbasses, and becoming the king of the assholes, which stands up right over the defeated army's dead bodies with a triumphant smile on your damn face. Otters versus caimans. In the infested waters of the Amazon River are some of the biggest aquatic criminals in the world. This river got dolphins, bull sharks, giant anacondas, and our duo, the great river otters and the black caimans. These reptiles can measure up to more than 23 feet long for 2,900 pounds and smash any small and vulnerable living being whose existence only serves to fill their stomach. On the other side, we're starting to know of them, the 6-foot giant river otters that are as big as you, which slap jaguars when they are bored, are the perfect enemy for the black caiman. Because when a black caiman meets a group of otters, it is not like when you meet an old friend and you change sidewalk by acting like you did not see him. Here we get an immediate stare down, and if you flinch, you're dead, since the black caiman is big enough to beat up the otters and leave alive, or the otters take the advantage by their group superiority by attacking the caiman repeatedly until the caiman is completely exhausted and too heavily wounded by the bites before getting served at otter dinner. Honey badger versus leopard. When you are the most aggressive animal in the world, it is not surprising that many animals consider you as their worst enemy. We saw in the previous video that the honey badgers and the lions form one of the wildest enemy duos in the savannah. There are many other animals which are so fed up with the honey badger that when they see each other, the pride comes out and violence flows. The leopard is the lightest part of the feline, but although it doesn't weigh as much as a lion with its 128 pounds, it uses its intelligence to avoid being cut in half like a cheetah by predators by bringing its prey in trees as soon as it has caught them, so that no lion or hyena clan can steal its snack. But of course, a smart guy which loves pissing off others sees this and decides to go himself into the tree to bite off the leopard until this one has no other choice than to abandon its prey. It is really shameful to steal like that, and sometimes the leopard just says enough, to hell with you, and answers by slapping the little shit in the face again and again to teach it some manners. See, they are enemies, not because they were born hating each other, but because who wouldn't hate a black and white pain in the butt annoying you every time you're trying to enjoy a good meal. Croco versus hippo. POV. You are a 20-foot long Nile crocodile, 2,200 pounds heavy, with one of the most powerful bites of the animal world. When animals cross rivers, they are terrified of being eaten because any animal that gets too close to the water will make a good meal for you. Absolutely everybody is afraid of you. Yet your own biggest nightmare is that 6,600-pound ball of fury that is the hippopotamus. Sometimes herbivorous, sometimes killing machine. It's really nature's way of creating a living being that only exists to end the life of others in the most brutal way possible, with its 16-inch canines. No matter if you are a small, defenseless animal, a feared predator knowing a thing or two about committing homicides like a lion or a Nile crocodile, because even if you are the angel of death disguised in a scaled suit, unfortunately for you, this guy is thick and impenetrable, so your attacks only make him laugh. And even though the hippo doesn't have the strongest bite in the world, it's still powerful enough to pierce your own body and turn it into mashed potatoes. Understood? This rule of never bothering hippos is marked so deep inside the brain of crocodiles that even if a baby hippo chews on their scales, which is a really move honestly, they just won't do anything about it, as they know damn well mama hippo will then immediately bash their head in. And of course, when they are adults, the only thing you can do is turn around and run away, because if you dare to stand up to them, or simply if you are lost and find yourself in the middle of a group of hippos, unfortunately for you, you will soon join your ancestor crocodiles, alligators, and caimans in the shadow realm, no matter how strong you think you are. Bee versus hornet. We can all agree that bees are vital and they must be protected at all costs, so any prick disrespecting them are trash. Any creature attacking them should burn in hell for eternity. And on this list, the first name is the hornets, because not only they attack everyone when they are Asian hornets, but they also love killing our poor bees, and that's simply unforgivable. Unfortunately, they are so big that a single hornet can kill hundreds of bees in a hive. But when a hornet forgets to warn its buddies to support it, probably from cockiness, the bees have a nice surprise for the intruder as they immediately start to rub their body against it. Not in a sexual way, but to suffocate it by the extreme heat caused by so much, as hornets cannot withstand temperatures as high as bees can. So they are literally cooked alive. And knowing that this is probably one of the ways to die, I hope that hornets have a hidden sense that allows them to feel the pain of their loved ones from a distance, so they feel their comrades being cooked alive. Stop their bullshit and leave the bees alone, for Christ's sake. Jaguar versus anteater. The jaguar is one of the greatest assassins, one of the most powerful predators, and one of the most ferocious psychopaths on the planet. You versus a jaguar? Simple. You are nothing more than a breakfast for it, because a jaguar is powerful enough to kill a cow and lift it up in trees to eat it there. Hundreds of pounds being lifted from ground to high up in trees is easy work for a jaguar. So when you see an anteater, an animal that eats ants, you think to yourself, ain't no way it is lasting more than 5 seconds in a fight to survive. It got nothing against jaguars jaguars. When the jaguar approaches and acts all smart, it's swing time. Watch out, because I'm gonna cut your head off. Hell, even when you approach an anteater, you think that it looks cute spreading its arms for a hug. But what your dumb self does not get is that they spread their arms to dare you to approach so they can slash your throat. You need to realize that if they can cut the vital arteries of a jaguar, believe me, they can grab you and carve you a new head with their claws. Anyway, when a jaguar is hungry and decides to take on the risk of being sent 6 feet under, the winner is the first one to grab the head of the other, as no matter what happens, one of them is going to die within the next 5 minutes.